Hey, it's Mike Green with Iron Forge Media. Welcome to Whiteboard Wednesday. We're going to talk about what I call the success path. I don't care if you are selling essential oils in your basement or if you are a multi-billion dollar company, you are probably experiencing the same path. Now you'll have to kind of apply it to your specific situation, but I am going to tell you today how you can move through that path and how to recognize what stage of business you're in. Let's get started. Okay, so this is you. You can tell by my artistic ability how accurate this is of exactly what you look like. But this is essentially you right here. And the goal here is to move you from what I call the startup phase of business and move you all the way over here to profit stage where you're holding up big bags of money as quickly as possible and as responsibly as possible so that your business can have the goals and the outcomes that you really want to have for your business. So essentially we're going to talk about these three different phases. Now this is the 30,000 foot view. There's obviously much more complex things here, but these are the three phases that most businesses are in. There's the startup phase, there's the growth phase, and then there is the profit stage. Now do not misconstrue these with time. I have talked to many business owners that are 20, 30 years in to their business and are still operating like they're in the startup phase. I have talked to many business owners that 2 years after they have started the business or purchased a business, sometimes even quicker than that, they're already at the profit stage. Depends on the industry, depends on how good of a manager you are and how successful you are in moving through these different challenges and utilizing these different tools for the stage of business that you're in. So let's talk about that startup phase of business real quick. So these are some of the features that you can recognize for being in the startup phase. Now, before I get into that, you need to recognize that the challenge here and the thing that makes it so you don't move through it is that you may be in the startup phase of your business, but you're goal setting and you're trying to operate like you're in the growth phase or you're in the profit stage, or you are just completely in the growth phase of your business and you've regressed back to the startup phase because of bad decisions that you made or you didn't follow the path, and so now you're back to that startup phase. So let's talk about the startup phase for a second. Here's some features that you can recognize when you're in the startup phase. Typically you have very small amounts of green money or you have no green money. So we're going to talk about green money and red money today. Green money meaning that that's money in your wallet. You're in a 100% control of that money, how it's spent, how it's invested. It's yours. It's got your name on it. Red money is essentially other people's money, money that you get from the bank, money you'll get from a loan, money that you may get from a relative or something. It's got some type of strings tied in with it so that you have to perform in a certain thing and probably pay it back with interest. That's the indicator of red money. So red money is not necessarily bad, and frankly, you need it at the startup phase very often, depending on the industry you're in. But the second feature is that you have lots of that red money, meaning that you have that at your disposal. Now, the great thing about that is that you can put in that new parking lot. You can put in that nice sign. You can invest into some marketing. You can do some of those things because you have that capital available to your business. The next thing that we typically see is a lot of staff churn, meaning that you're constantly in the hiring and firing phase of your business. You probably haven't found that team that A, you're happy with, and B, they're happy with you. And so you're in a group where you're hiring somebody, they seem like they're great, 6 weeks later they're gone, or six months later they're gone. And so there's probably a lot of staff churn that's happening for your business, and that is frustrating, and it causes some sleepless nights, frankly, and that's the last feature of business. You're constantly to the place where you don't have enough green money to make payroll. You're barely going to make overhead. This key person just was hired away by a competitor, or you just invested X amount of dollars in this new marketing thing and it didn't work. Those are the things that you keep you up at night. And so that is some features of the startup phase. And again, I will emphasize that there are many businesses that for the lifetime of that company and that business, they operate in that startup phase of mindset and business. They never progress past to the growth phase. So let's talk about that growth phase for just a second. So here is a couple of features of the growth phase that I think is very exciting. And this should be a goal that you have for your business to get there as quickly as possible. The first one is that business starts to create itself. Meaning that you didn't have to fight tooth and nail, you didn't have to go buy that person, you didn't have to beg, borrow, and steal that person to get them to buy your product or to come into your business. All of a sudden, they have started to create themselves. You don't know where they came from. They just happen to pop in, or they just happen to buy from your store, or whatever it is. You don't really know. That's a really good indicator that you're starting to get into that growth phase of your business. As long as you don't mess it up and make a really bad decision, that it really will be the driver for your business through that growth phase and get you in the profit side. Now, that could be because of reputation. That could be from maybe some referrals that you're getting from your existing customers. But that is something that is very, very key that you start seeing in your business. And when you start seeing it, then you can start operating as if you're in the growth phase of your business. The next one is that you start to have some real predictable marketing. Meaning that if you put in a nickel, and you've heard me say this before, if you put in a nickel, you get back a dime. When your marketing is predictable like that, that you can say, okay, I'm going to choose to spend this batch of money, whether it's green money or red money, I'm going to spend it on this particular marketing item, and I know in general what the outcome is going to be. Meaning that you've gone from the, oh, I hope this works, to I know this works because I've scientifically proven it as a marketing campaign. So when you start to get that place, then you know that you're in the growth phase of your business. The next one is that you start experiencing what I call the stair pattern to your business. And here's an example down here of the stair pattern. Basically, when you're in the growth phase of your business, your revenue typically is just on the rise. It continues to increase. Your profit, on the other hand, if you didn't do anything, it may continue to grow as well. But what usually happens is that you start to get a lot of green money and you decide, okay, I'm going to invest. And you make an investment, and that really cuts into your profits, but it allows your revenue and it allows your profit to grow in the future. And so you make that investment become less profitable. You get more profitable again, you make another investment, become less profitable, but things continue to grow, and you start to see that stair pattern with your business and the investments that you're making and the profit that you're making. So that's what the stair pattern is. When you start seeing that, you know that you're getting into the growth phase of your business. The next thing is that you just frankly have more green money than you have red money. And that's a really exciting time, because now you can finally make those investments and you can start to increase your lifestyle or invest in more employees or whatever it is that you want to do with that green money, because it's yours and you deserve it, you earned it, and that's exciting. The last thing is that a lot of businesses choose to sell at this point. And the reason they do that is because they are probably the most marketable right now. Like, they are in a trajectory where they're growing quickly, things are going quite well, and so they can really package their business for sale in a really exciting way and probably get a really good purchase price at that stage. So a lot of businesses choose to sell, meaning that if you went into business with the intent of selling it, in a certain amount of time or whatever, now is the time to do it. The hard thing is a lot of businesses try to do it here, and that's where they just don't have any buyers or get a really bad sell price or whatever. So make sure that you're in that growth stage if you're deciding to sell your business. Okay, let's talk about that profit stage of business. Here's a few features to know when you've gone from the growth stage to the profit stage. The owner's in the driver's seat. meaning that you are the one that is making the decisions on nearly everything for that practice. You get to decide what happens. You don't have a bank telling you or an investment group telling you. You're the one that decides what's going to happen with your business. The second thing that is a really indicator of that is that you are now in control of the red money. You may decide that you want to get a whole bunch more red money or other people's money for your business. And that might be a really wise thing to do. The exciting thing about that is that you're the one that's in control of that, meaning that you can shop, you can get the best interest rates, you can go out and get the best financing you can possibly get, or you can just decide you don't want to take any red money. Maybe you want to self-fund all of your now investments because you're in the profit stage. That's the exciting part of being in the driver's seat as an owner to the business. The next thing is that you transition from technician to full business owner, meaning that when you're in this stage, and many of you know this, and I know this as well from my different businesses, you're wearing lots of hats. You're the technician, you're the strategist, you're the CFO, you're the owner, you're all these different things. And you have to play those roles moving forward. Typically when you're in the profit stage, you have your team put together, so now you can decide, okay, I don't want to be the technician. I don't want to be the guy driving the backhoe anymore. Unless I love driving backhoes, right? If that's what you love to do, and now you just get to play around on the big equipment, you can make that decision. Why? Because you're in the driver's seat. You're the one that's deciding what is going to happen day in, day out with your business. It's an exciting place to be. The last one is that you can really expand, you can scale, or you can really just build a legacy business when you're in that profit stage. Why? Because you are in that driver's seat. Now, that doesn't mean that the growth has stopped. The growth is there, but you're not basically beholden to anybody. You're making your decisions. That's how you can tell that you've gone from the growth phase to the profit stage. So let's talk about 3 things real quickly that you can do to move you through that process as fast as possible, at least from my experience with the businesses that I've worked with. The first one is to find your marketing rhythm as quickly as you possibly can. I know it's expensive. I know it's a challenge a lot of times. I know it takes patience. You want to just hire the right guy, throw money at him, and have him reveal this magical silver bullet marketing thing that's just going to work. That's just not the way it happens. And every market is a little bit different, and every psychographic segment is a little different on how they purchase. And so you have to take the time and invest into what that marketing system is going to be that's going to get you the predictable results. And the faster that you figure it out, the quicker you're going to be able to be in control of moving through these different phases. The next thing is to make sure that you are managing your money, and that not the other way around, that your money's not managing you. Now, whether you need to raise your financial IQ or you need to go get some really good advice from other people that have really smart financial IQ abilities, or maybe you need to bring on a partner or somebody else that has that, but you need to get to the stage where you are in full control of your money and that you are managing it correctly, that green and red money, so that it's working for you the best way it possibly can. And the last thing, and I think this is super important, you need to get advice from non-invested people or coaches as quickly as you can. The reason for that is grandma that gave you some money to start this business is probably not going to be the best one to give you advice. She's going to give you advice. She's going to have all kinds of things to say, but she's probably not going to be able to give you the right advice for your business. Same thing with your spouse. Same things with your church leaders or whatever. They all have a deep emotional investment into your success, or maybe they have a financial investment into your success. You will get the purest truth I have found from non-invested people, that if you were to go out of business, it wouldn't necessarily affect them. And so they can tell you the truth. They can see it from a different perspective. And if you find the right coach, they can really walk you through that process. It's exciting. Every business has a potential. Most businesses have the potential to move through this phase as long as they're doing the correct strategy for the phase of business that they're in. Thank you so much for joining me for Whiteboard Wednesday. I'm Mike Green with Iron Forge Media, and we'll see you next week.